Hello and welcome to another installment of JSVeterans.com videos. As the lead developer, my name is Gasper. Let's get started, shall we? This video is going to address playing and the interface involved. You'll also notice that there are some significant changes made to the interface just recently. Some of those include buff icons, stat readouts, quick zoom options to main and secondary objectives, and a much faster camera move speed. But let's get started with the primary topic at hand. So to start, there are 7 different types of mission modes within 3 different multiplayer types across 5 different zones. So let's start in the middle. 3 different multiplayer types is basically just saying that there's single player, multiplayer, and co-op. These are denoted by the satellites in the map overview. The vast majority of missions are just straight multiplayer in the game, which means you can join with friends and random players from either faction can join your map. The 5 different zones are fairly self-explanatory. These provide a harder hitting AI, vaster quantities of AIs, harder objectives, and when you get into Zone 5, or No Man's Land, you have what's called Deep Sat missions. These have purple map overlays. These are in fact the hardest and most perilous missions. You have the ability to join these even though they are predominantly just in Zone 5 if you decide to join a mission that is a comet moving through the solar system. Being that if you lose assets, they are permanently gone and any faction can join these maps, you quite obviously risk a lot going through these missions, but they're well worth the reward. When it comes to the game modes, the 7 different types consist of Assault, Defense, Investigation, Bonus, Mines, Missions, and Deep Sat. Every single map mode provides unique objectives, different enemies, and change dramatically between zones and the amounts of players within them. Additionally, the increased difficulty of AIs is something that also varies dramatically as you move through the game. There are 4 types of mission objectives that are able to populate, all split up between main objectives and secondary objectives. These consist of capture nodes, defense nodes, investigation nodes, and kill nodes. Capture nodes simply require that you clear the area. Given a small amount of time, the node becomes yours and you can move on. Defense nodes, enemies will spawn around the node as you have to clear them out. Once that's complete, the node will begin to cap in your favor. Investigation nodes are simply a string of waypoints you have to get close to, and then you can move on. And lastly, kill nodes. They tend to spawn much harder enemies, which you have to kill, clear, cap, and then move on. All these nodes have a ton of variables that vary their look, feel, size, and difficulty based off zone, types of maps, the asset score of the player, and how many players there are in the map. The quantities and locations of objective spawns are highly randomized and vary dramatically, ensuring that you essentially never play the same map twice. Also, the closest faction gets a significant amount of points comparatively to the opposing fleet. In addition, the salvage generated by any objectives is quite significant. The rogue faction or AI models that spawn are also dramatically different between the zones. Currently, the models are still somewhat similar, but that will soon be changing. For now, the color systems, textures, and small model variations exist only between zones, but the statistical increases do vary dramatically still. The AI or the rogue faction also have a variety of modifiers available to them. In addition, they have reaction times to shooting and moving, plus they have their own movement speed variables. These all fluctuate dramatically based off players and match, player asset scores, zones, map types and objectives, and various other variables. And this brings me to the UI. There are quite a few things on the screen, so let me start from the top. At the very top, there are, in my case right now, 2 buttons. These are the buttons to activate your advanced mods. The more advanced mods you have, obviously the more buttons you have up there. These do stack. These generally change core statistics that you can see modify in real time on the right hand side. The 3 columns there refer to the base statistic which you loaded in with, any active bonuses to that particular stat, and the acronym for that specific stat. So below the advanced mods, you'll see the carrier ability buttons. The center one is to start spooling your cap drive. This takes a predetermined amount of time based off the carrier chassis and the rank of that chassis. Certain carrier chassis have the ability to lock you out of using your cap drive, just like there are abilities to lock you out of using advanced mods and your other carrier abilities. Just keep that in mind. To the left and right of the cap drive, you have 2 carrier chassis abilities. These are unique to each carrier. These 2 will have buff icons like the advanced mods. On the left hand side of the screen, you have multiple buttons that are direct links to any ship groups, your carrier, and any battle groups, which consists of multiple ship groups. Within these buttons, you can dock, undock your ships, you can regroup them, you can have them fall back into the carrier. If you just click at the top of the button and drag it to a location and release, it will send the ship to that location. And specifically for the carrier, you also have a broadside ability. This allows you to turn your chassis by 90 degrees for a movement speed penalty. This has a purely tactical function and is really just up to the player if and when they would like to use it. But I'd imagine that it would come in handy quite often. On the right side of the screen, you have your resources in the top right, then primary, secondary, and tertiary targets. These simply tell you if you have a target currently in that slot, and it allows you to click on it to quickly move to that target. These in effect create a priority system for all of your weapons. But bear in mind there are 3 sizes, small, medium, and large targets. Traditionally, your weapons will auto-attack their primary type. This, on the other hand, makes it so any turret will attack as long as it simply can attack that target. So it's a great way to focus down targets with many weapon systems available. But in small-scale engagements, it's likely better off that you leave the targeting up to the units. Underneath that, you have your main and secondary objective quantities and distances, how much salvage that you've acquired and how many commanders are in the match, besides you. Underneath that, you have main and secondary objective buttons. These quickly move the camera to the closest respective one. And below that on the right, we have the power outputs. These statistics are covered in the stat video provided recently. At the very bottom of the screen, you have a rank icon, a bar to the next level, your current XP, and it will periodically move forward as you play, as you also gain an experience as you kill units. And right above that, you have camera options. The circular cycle button on the right allows you to shift between camera options, and the slider allows you to alter that particular angle. And lastly, in the top left, you'll see an icon with a horizontal and vertical phone. This is, in effect, a multiplayer interface button that allows you to chat with friends, fleets, join fellow games, with multiple display options for other players in match. Although you can simply click on it, I hope the icon implies that you can also tilt the device sideways to activate that menu as well. I should also mention that there's an intention to also add direct skill shots on the carrier chassis and or advanced mods. This is something that isn't implemented yet, but will be either just prior to release or shortly after. Those will likely be depicted at the top with the other advanced mod buttons. But that sums up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow us on Twitter at JSVeterans and check out our website, JSVeterans.com. Thanks for watching. Take care.